be in this category. I don't know who Northview School is. You guys are gonna have to email me or something because it's not coming up. And I don't know who Mrs. Allen is. That's not in the record.
It's done at Bagot. I normally change it when I come into class. I am Mrs. Allen.
Okay,
Yes.
it keeps coming up on the screen as Mrs. Allen, so that's why I don't know who it is, okay? So when I go back and look at the recording or I look at stuff, it comes up as Mrs. Allen. Okay, what about Northview School? Who's Northview School? Nobody knows who Northview School.
I don't think that she's here yet. I can't think of her name right now. She works at the school in Cadillac, Northview School in Michigan Conference. I'll get her name for you.
Is it Adania?
Yeah, Adania. There we go. Yes, thank you.
Yeah, that's Northview School.
Yes, Adania.
Adania is Northview.
I don't think she's in here yet.
Okay, thank you. And yeah, because I try when you look and you see, oh, she didn't put Grace in. It's because I'm really having trouble finding you guys. And then Akram, who's Akram?
It's me, Gladys James.
Oh, okay. And who is Gray? Last name Gray. I don't have a Gray at all. I get things coming up as a Gray.
Gray, that would be, I am Gray Brathwaite, so that could be me.
Cool. Okay, that's Tashura.
Yes.
Okay. Yeah. Okay. All right. Okay. I will go back and try to finish all of the grades again. I really was having trouble. Thank you so much for your help. Oh, and Elia. Do you have two names also? Elia. Do you have two names also? Okay. All right. So I guess you guys.
That's right, man.
Hello? Elia. Okay. Maybe she'll listen to the recording and fix it. Okay, guys. I really appreciate the help. And Denise, what's your last name?
Parker.
Parker. Okay. Thank you.
All right. I'm friends with Elia. Elia's last name is Moreno.
But I have a Jorlini. Is that the same person?
Oh yeah, I think she has two last names.
Okay, thank you. All right. Okay, good. Let's go ahead then. So for worship today, we'll do something a little bit different. I figured it would be around this time. Again, this course used to be 8 weeks. Then it was, I had to pull, they don't tell me to reduce the material. Understand this. They don't tell me to reduce the material. They simply told me to go from 8 weeks to 6 weeks. Then again, they didn't tell me to reduce the material. The 2 weeks before this course started, when I was getting ready to go to Kenya, they told me reduce the time from 6 weeks to 4 weeks, but I still have to get everything in. So I do, and I want to say that to all of you. Thank you very much for your patience, because it has been a challenge trying to get everything from 8 weeks to 6 weeks to 4 weeks, but you are still required to get everything done. So that's a part of the challenges as well, because I can't take anything off. And one more, Thea, what's your name?
Thea Maria Florio. It was previously.
So you're not Stapleton?
No.
So who is Thea Stapleton?
That's me. That was my name before I got married.
And that's the only thing that I have is Stapleton in the record book. Okay. All right. Okay. Again.
Yeah, Peters.
Donna, I got you now. I got you now. Yes. Okay. Okay, it's just all of these little glitches. So, all right, let's go ahead, and I am going to share with you something very special for worship that I think might help some of you. And this was done by a person who is not tech savvy. And I say that she is tech savvy, but she didn't think she was tech savvy at the time that she did it. So I'm going to share that right now with you for worship. And I will be quiet. Do you guys see my screen okay? Do you see my mom? Yes, no?
Yes, we're seeing Mom.
Okay, all right, good. Okay, all right. Can you see the YouTube?
Yes.
Okay, good. Okay, hopefully you can hear. Okay, it's not very long. It's 1:36 minutes, and I'm going to start it. Okay, isn't that cool? So give me a second here. Let's stop it.
Created using Powtoon.
Yes, created using Powtoons. Powtoons is probably one of my favorites to use for children's storytelling. And so, gonna have prayer, and then I'm gonna talk about the story that Esther Rodriguez did. Father God, we do thank you for Esther. We thank you, Lord, for the story and for what she was able to do. Lord, yes, she was put into the kingdom for such a time as this, and so are each one of these teachers put into this place for such a time as this. And I ask that you would be with us today as we continue with Bible encounters and with the material that we need to cover, and help us to be just a little at peace with what we have to do in Jesus' name. Amen. So I want to talk about Esther's video because, as I said, she did not claim herself to be a big time video person, technology person. But as you can see, she did a really good job on that. And that was her story. Remember, you guys are doing a story, right? And it ended up being 1 minute 30 seconds. She used Powtoons. You can use almost anything you want, as long as it's yeah. I have people who have their kids in the backyard in the summertime, and they do the video with that. And then so the idea is that you're finding a different way to tell the story so that the kids can be interested in it. Powtoons is my favorite. Somebody told me that you have to pay for Powtoons now. I've never paid for Powtoons. Maybe I got grandfathered in with that. People that are doing PowerPoint. I mean, just so many different things that you can use to tell the story. Okay. Also, I'm going to have, going to have a special prayer at the end as well. But now I'm going to go ahead and, going to go ahead and finish this. So you guys, your transformation planning framework, you're foldable, right? So here's what's been happening now. So some people, and those who are listening on the recording, let me make sure that we're still recording. Those of you who are on the recording, remember, if you are not in attendance, okay, because most of you that are in attendance, if I have a question, I can go back and look at what you did on the video if it matches your name. Those 5 people who are called at the beginning, I have no problem with Kelly's. I have no problem with Raina. You know, those people, I have no problem with yours. But if you think I'm having a problem with something that you needed to submit, please put it in that Dropbox. This is the first year I created that because we don't have as much time as I normally have. Please make sure if I did something during class and you think that I didn't see what you did and you need credit for it, please put it in that Dropbox. Okay. Some of you are asking, why didn't I get credit for live conference something? It's because I couldn't tell that you did it because I couldn't see it. So help me out there, guys. Okay. Because I want to make sure everybody gets credit for what they do. Right. Yeah. Also, if you're listening to this, and that means that you're doing the makeup, make sure you answer all of the questions and you talk about what we did in the session so that we can make sure that you get credit for the session as well. And then type it up and put it in the Dropbox. Remember, we're typing. You guys are teachers as well as being college graduate students. So you want to type up what you do. When you guys write stuff up, it's very hard for me to see it. So I really appreciate you typing it up as you would do with any other college class. Okay, everybody has a foldable now. So if everybody would hold up their foldable for me right now. And we should have, this is review, hold it up so I can see it. You should have done the orientation. Make sure I can see your orientation page. That's page 1. That's the curiosity hook and the big picture. Good. Flip over to the second page and you can fold it back so I can see the second page. And that would be the exploration with the animated learning and the engaged learning. Good. Now fold it back so that I can see your reflection page. That's where we are now. And we started with reflection page and we are going to continue with that now. Okay, you guys can get ready to start writing. Let's get started. So the next one is what we call soul learning on the reflection page. And soul learning, the logo for soul learning, remember I told you every one of them has a logo. The logo for soul learning is simply a chair, because in soul learning, you're just going to sit back and reflect on everything else that the teacher has done. And what the teacher will have done by now, or the student will have done with the teacher, is animated learning, engaged learning, that's during the exploration phase. They also will have done orientation, that's during the learner bait and the learner context phase. And now they're doing soul learning where they're reflecting back on what was talked about. The one that I really like, the text that I really like that goes along with this one is be still, be still. This is hard for us to be still, but be still and know that I am God. One of the things I really appreciated when I was in Kenya a couple weeks ago was the fact that the people knew how to be still. They would just wait, and for some of us that were from the US, well, actually all of us that were from the US, it was really hard for us to be still, to be patient, just to wait. Listen to see what God wants us to do. In authentic education, silence is treated as a trustworthy matrix for the inner work students must do, a medium for learning of the deepest sort. Just be still, listen, wait. It's not enough to simply read the truth. It must be allowed to sink in. If truth doesn't saturate, change remains cosmetic. So be still. Be still could mean just sitting with the Bible after you've read a passage. It could be writing in journals, discussing the new learning in small groups. But if you cram more content per minute or move from one piece of learning to the next, that virtually guarantees that little will be learned because you went so fast that they were not able to just hold on to it and grab it. In fact, many teachers who complain of having to do so much reteaching are the same ones trying to cram too much. And yes, I am going to say this. Let's not be so concerned about finishing the whole book, whatever subject it is. Because if we're trying to finish the whole book and the students did not grasp what the material was, then hey, we have done them a disservice anyway. So let's just make sure that we are not trying to rush through, but we are sitting, be still, soul learning. Ellen White says that when every other voice is hushed and in quietness we wait before him, the silence of the soul makes more distinct the voice of God. Sometimes be still might mean just sitting outside under a tree with the kids, bring a blanket, reflect back on what was learned. And this is not just for Bible, but it is especially for Bible. Now, we talked about clock partners. We talked about back and forth, but there's also something called triad sharing where you will go into groups of 3. This is not from clock partners. This is just a time where you can go into groups of 3 and you have the 3 students sit down, reflect back on what they just learned and sit and think about it and then reflect again. That's simply triad sharing. Yeah, here's some things to remember about soul learning. Soul learning is a part of reflection. The first part of reflection was heart learning. But in soul learning, we're dealing with growth of the moral self through quiet reflection. This part, as I've said already, deals with personal reflection. Sometimes it could be journaling. Sometimes it could be drawing. Sometimes it could be pair sharing. And a lot of times it's mind mapping. But we have to make sure that the students know how to do mind mapping. Let's just don't assume that they know how to do it. Or reflective questioning. Or it could be a combination of that. Let's don't get too bogged down in questions that they're not reflective. Reflective means that it's very specific, that you're bringing out what was taught. And they're reflecting back on that, not just asking them questions just to trick them up to see if they were asleep in class. Soul learning is fusion between cognitive and spiritual. That is, you taught it to them in their brain, but you want to make sure it's connected to their spiritual life. And that can take place through having them, if you know that you have some people who really love art, then have them draw in detail what just happened, or have them journal what just happened, or they can draw in their journal. Okay. So that's reflection. And that's the bottom part. And I'm going to stop just a minute now because this is where we are now. Reflective practice. Okay. Where we did the connection with God in the heart learning, where the students are looking for, wow, I get it now. And then reflective practice of the soul learning, where they can think, And don't be afraid of the quiet. You realize that? Teachers are very afraid of the quiet. Let's don't be afraid of the quiet. Okay? All right. So that's number 3. Now we're going into number 4, which on my number 4 is the next page and it's at the top. Okay, it's the next page and it's at the top. And again, what it says in there is celebration, and that's where I'm going now. It's celebration in the art, and then I divide it in 2, and now I'll share my screen. So the first part of celebration, and this is the 4th quadrant. This is the 4th quadrant. Those of you who are familiar with format, it is the same thing, that 4th quadrant, where you have a celebration. Remember, you guys like celebrations. We all like celebrations. And we want to make sure the students have an opportunity to celebrate. We call the first phase of the 4th quadrant of celebration the life learning, or the application, or making a commitment. And life learning, the logo that we have for life learning is putting on the boots and doing it. One of my favorite books that I like to do with my language arts students in high school is To Kill a Mockingbird. And at the end of that story, as you guys may have heard me say before, she says, you never really know someone until you get in their shoes and walk around in them, because that's what her dad told her. Well, that's what we mean by application. Get in their shoes, get in the boots, lace them up and get dirty. Go and do something with what you've learned. If students don't apply what they've learned, they will lose what they have learned. Do not merely listen to the word and so deceive yourselves. Do what it says, we're told in James 1:22. Anne Frank, of course, in her diary said how wonderful it is that nobody need wait a single moment before starting to improve the world. Just go do it. Now, George Knight, as you've heard me mention before, says the essence of Christianity is not a body of knowledge to digest or a book to study, but a life to live. And so that's what we do. Once we have learned the material, what can the students do to go out and learn something, do something with what they learned? Go put it into action. Now, when we think about life learning, how would a student show you that they've learned the parable of the Good Samaritan? Which one of these would work? Please put it in the chat. Would they recount the story without prompting? B, would they say the treasure verse from memory? C, would they sit next to a socially isolated student at lunchtime? Or D, would they tell you an example of someone who is a Good Samaritan? Type in the chat, please, what you think would be showing students showing that they've learned the parable of the Good Samaritan. I have 7 people who have typed. I need more. There are 17 of you, 18 of you. I need more. Which one shows that a student has learned the parable of the Good Samaritan? Keep going, keep going. We're not done yet. We're not done yet. Some of you are typing very long. Sorry. All right, somebody who just came in. Okay, let's see what you guys said. Some say C, some say D. Uh-oh, now you think it's C? It looks like C has it. Now, I want you guys to share with me. Somebody needs to share with me what I think is C and or D. I'm going to put, go ahead. Tell me why.
Because you're applying what you've learned.
Huh?
Compassion on somebody.
Okay. So in order to show that you have learned the parable of the Good Samaritan, you think that sitting next to a socially isolated person at lunchtime will say, yes, will show that they've gotten it? Yes. Somebody needs to mute their mic, please. Okay. Anybody else want to jump in there? Why did you say it's C or D? As I see several of you have said that is D. Who else?
I think D as well, because it shows that they can recount the story and tell you exactly what is happening. So it lets you see that they understood what you taught.
Okay.
I also feel like it could be I don't know, maybe I think it could be all of them, but it just depends on how you look at it, I guess.
Uh-huh. Okay. Go ahead. Anybody else?
I wanted to say C and D also. It shows knowledge there, understanding and application. I'm seeing several things coming out there, not just application, which you must know before you can apply. At least they can relate to others too.
Okay. Okay. Anybody
I
else?
would say, I would say, I would say D because when we share the story of the Good Samaritan with the students, they understand the concept. It's easy for them to present with the example what is happening around them, and they can easily narrate it.
And could it be a combination of them? Or someone has said? Not just one, but could they do all four of them? I mean, is that possible? Will they
Yeah,
show you
that's
that
what I
they've learned
said.
it?
Yeah.
So what we're looking for is we're looking to avoid standalones. Let me go back to the story here. Okay, go back to the screen. And you're getting an echo. If someone can mute their mic. Okay, so what we want to make sure when we're talking about the life learning, yes, they're telling the story without prompting. However, it's not that we don't want them to be able to do the story without prompting, but we want them to act out what they've done. And so if they can tell you the story and then go ahead and they're going to sit next to a person who's isolated and they're going to say their treasure verse, then they're going to share an example of someone who is a good Samaritan, then those all together will show it. Again, it's not necessarily one thing, but the ones that I would say would probably not work just by itself would probably be A and B. I could see though why you would say C and D, okay? But anyway, we want to make sure that it's personal, that they've learned it. Can you guys still see my screen okay?
Yes.
Yes, good. Okay. So now we're still in life learning and we're still dealing with celebration, but now we are dealing with something called Kaizen. Now, you guys can Google the word Kaizen, but what they told us to make sure that you guys understood when we talk about Kaizen is that it's serious fun. It's serious transforming. It's seriously that everything now has been done and they have it. It is applying now the transformation that has taken place. Not just baptism, but yes, baptism if they have not done so. Not just sitting next to a person, but yes, going out and grabbing somebody and say, what can I do to help you? It's transformational. It's commitment. It is not just baptism, but saying now, yes, I want to live the rest of my life for Christ and with Christ. And I'm showing you how I want to do that. I am living my life, not just by speaking, not just hearers of the word, but doers of the word also. And that's part of the celebration. And that's it. That is what we call the TPF, the Transformational Planning Framework. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to show you so what I did on mine, and I do this every time, is if you flip over, you start from the beginning here. Okay. Okay, and you guys can show it to me next week, or if you want to take a picture, remember, do a PDF or a JPEG. So this was number 1. And then 2 and 3 look weird because they're actually opposite each other. Okay. So that's 2 and that's 3. So we have orientation, exploration, reflection, and celebration is on a page by itself. And then that's where I would write my notes on mine. And then when you turn to the next page, it's blank. And so what I do on mine every time I do this is I do the whole thing again. And as you can see, I have a whole lot of notes in there. Okay, so I have notes all over mine, and it really helps me as I am doing the Bible class with you or with students or with other teachers. So I just do the whole circle again. Now, where can you find this? You guys are elementary teachers. And I am pulling up, as I told you last week, this is the book. This is Elijah 5.2. And the Transformational Planning Framework on all of them is around page 4. Okay, so you can go and look at it on page 4. And as I spent a lot of time with you guys last week. If you missed it, go back and look at it. And as you can see, on each one of them, it has the name of it. So that's orientation at the top. And it has the activities for orientation. It has the activities for each side. It tells you what to do. Then it has exploration. It has activities for each one there. for engaged learning as well as animated learning. It has things for you to do for each one for reflection, okay? And it has stuff for you to do for celebration or the life learning. So if you have not done so already, take the time to look at the whole sample that I have given you, and you should also see examples of formative assessment and summative assessment. And the reason why I'm sharing this with you is that when I taught Bible, when I taught Bible, I was not very big on waiting until the end. Actually, that's me with every class that I've taught. I don't wait until the end. I did formative, ongoing activities. And as you can see, what they have in here, they have the standards that are assessed, and then they have the activities that go along with the standards as you are going along. That's formative. Now, but if you're one of those that you want to give a summative assessment, there are also suggestions to do for the summative or to show that they have grasped the whole thing at the end. And then there's also in each one of the units, there's the list of reflection for you to do yourself. So you can record how well it went. So you can see what you want to do differently next year or the next time you do it, if you're doing a multi-grade or a combination classroom. In each unit, you have cards for the memory verse or treasure verse cards, posters. And what I ask teachers to do when I'm coming to help them, because that's one of the things that I do, is I go around into classrooms and I help teachers with various subjects. And I ask them if they will please have the cards already printed out. And if I have time while I'm in there helping them, I'll be glad to put them on tag board for them. Or they can have someone, a helper, do it after school and put those up around the classrooms. Also, in each one of the appendices, they have the fundamental beliefs that are covered in each one of them. And then in each one of them, they have activities, grade appropriate activities that for each one of your students that go along with each one of the pieces of the transformational planning framework. That's what you have access to for the samples that I've given you. And once you have finished this course next week, after the grades are turned in, then you'll have access to the whole thing that's on the page. Next week, what we'll do is we'll take a minute to look at it on actually you guys can already look at it, but next week we'll take the time to actually look at it on the page on the NAD, the Adventist Education page, okay? All right, so let's go ahead and share. Let's go back to my screen. Now, a little bit more about Kaizen learning. Make sure that your Kaizen is truly a celebration, and it's not just a thing where you're saying, if you don't do this, you're going to get a bad grade, because then it's not a celebration. Helen Keller said the world is moved not only by mighty shoves of the heroes, but also by the aggregate of the tiny pushes of each honest worker. So you want to make sure that every little thing that they've done, that they get credit for it, that they feel, oh yeah, I did that and I remember when. And they can go back to each one of the sections and they can say, oh, we did this for exploration, or we were exploring this, or we did this when, oh, I remember when the teacher was orientating us to that. I remember that. And yeah, so Kaizen though is the end. That's the fun. That's the dinner. That's the planning the week of prayer. That's the inviting people from the community to come in. That's the planning the giveaway of food, the food giveaway, or that's planning the health seminar. Yes, that's the students can do all of that. That's the Kaizen celebration that you want to make sure that the students are a part of, and it's not just the teacher doing it. Remember, learning is more effective when it's fun. After all, that's why some of us who retire keep on teaching and keep on teaching. Okay. Now, John 1:1 from the Message Bible said the word appeared right before our eyes. And now we're telling you from the very first day we were there, taking it all in. We heard it with our own ears, and saw it with our own eyes. We verified it with our own hands. And now we're telling you in most sober prose that what we've witnessed, incredibly this, the infinite life of God himself took shape before us. We saw it. We heard it. Now we're telling you so you can experience it along with us. This experience of communion with the Father and his Son, Jesus Christ. Our motive for telling simply this. We want you to enjoy this too. your joy will double our joy. And that's what we want it to be for the students. We want to make sure that they are sharing the joy, that they appreciate the joy, that when we are done with the unit, whatever unit it is, then they can say, oh, wow, that was fun. That was fun. We want the kids to say that Bible is the most exciting and the best class in the entire day. But yet we want to make sure that when they're celebrating, okay, that when they're celebrating, that they're also celebrating the relationship that they're establishing with Christ themselves. So, Kaizen, honor the small steps within the learning process. Kaizen encourages retention through the engagement of positive emotions. And Kaizen learning associates joy, delight, and fun with that which is godly. You know, when we finish, every unit that we do in every subject really should have a celebration. But definitely, we want to make sure that we have celebrations in our Bible classroom. One of the things that they do with every unit, when you have access to the units, you'll see that is that all 5 senses are dealt with in each one of the units. Throughout the unit, somewhere they deal with all 5 senses. And then down at the bottom, and of course now I'm not sharing, but down at the bottom, you'll be able to see it actually tells you which one of the multiple intelligences is being touched on. It might be the interpersonal, it might be the intrapersonal, it might be kinesthetic or visual. It actually tells you which one is touched on. And you can tell whether or not it's looking at the sense of smell, the sense of touch, the sense of hearing, which one is dealt with, because our students are going to learn based on what their multiple intelligence is and what their primary sensory organ, the primary sensory for learning is. Celebration with meaningful rituals, simple parties, cultural dinners, or any other authentic delight. You can come up with one, or you can use one that's already in the book, already in the unit that you have been given. One of the things about the Jewish people is that they were known for their rituals, for their celebrations. That's what we do, of course, with potlucks. That's what we do when we go out into the community, but you can come up with some of your own if you don't see some in the book that might be appropriate for your class. Again, there it is. There it is. Feel free to take a picture of it, but that's the whole thing. We are providing an opportunity for trust, joy, multiple sensory variety, novelty, challenge, feedback, choice, and for the students to feel a sense of belonging and honor them. That is the TPF, a transformational planning framework. By the time we get to celebration, we want the students to have the Lord be the Lord of their life. The lordship model is what guides this whole thing. Now, review. Now, you guys are going to have to respond. Oops, sorry. You have to respond in the chat with which one of these is correct. Which one of these is that goes with the logo? In other words, I'm going to show you a picture, which you just saw, and I want you to type which one it is, okay? Type which one it is. And you're typing whether or not it is learner bait or learning context or animated learning or soul learning or heart learning, so on and so forth. Please type your answer in the chat. And those of you that are doing this on your own, you need to make sure that you type up the correct answer for each one of them that comes up. Those of you who are doing this in the recording, you need to make sure you say what the picture was. But those who are here with me today, you don't need to say what the picture is. All you need to do is type in the answer, okay? So this is kind of a quiz. All right, which one is it? Type it in the chat. Two people, I need 17 more people. I'm going to give you guys 10 seconds. 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. I'm going to the next slide. All right, which one is this? Type in the correct answer. Which one is this? 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Type in the correct answer, and I'm going to the next one. This one's very easy. 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. You should have your answer in now. All right, type in your answer. Remember, you got to tell me which, don't just say reflection or exploration. You got to say which phase of that it is, okay? So you got to say whether or not it's animated learning or engaged learning or soul learning or heart learning. 5, 4, 3, 2, sorry, 1. And okay. All right, and here we go. Which one is this? Which phase is this of that piece of the TPF? 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. And done. Yes, it's kind of tricky. If you missed it the first time, here's another chance to get it. Type it in again. Even if you typed it in the first time, you got to type it in again. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Okay. All right. Here we go. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. All right. And which one is that? Just writing the learner word won't give it to you. You got to say which one it is. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. And which one is it? 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. I see some people still talking, typing. That one's so easy. I shouldn't have given you 5 seconds for that. All right. That's assessment. It's that now there are different types of assessment that you can do. That was simply a picture, just holding it up and identifying the picture. You can actually do one that we call assessment body matching, which we're not going to do now, but I would actually associate that with a piece of the body, a body part. This works very well for students when they're about to take a test too. I would have my students to put like heart learning on the chest, or I would have them do life learning on the toe or on the foot, or put soul learning on the heel, or but different things that you can do so that you can have them match it up, and then they can have a different form of explanation or discussion for it. All right. Now, we are not going to get to this one right now. I can tell that right now. We might be able to do that one next time, but let me, stop right here. Sorry. Okay, that is a story that if we have time, I'm going to do that story next time. But you guys have now finished TPF, the Transformational Planning Framework. Now, what I want you to do now is I want you to give me some feedback. Does it make a little bit more sense? Does it make a little bit more sense, just a little bit, than what you thought before? Or do you still have questions about TPF? We're not done yet because we still have assessment to do, more of assessment to do, and we'll do that next week. But tell me now how you feel about TPF in our last 7 minutes that we have together. You guys good?
It actually makes a lot more sense to me. And this is really sad that I'm saying this because I've been teaching Encounter for 8 years or 7 years since it came out. And I went through training in Michigan Conference, but no one went over this whole like framework. So I'm just kind of going through the books, and we have printed books, but it didn't make sense. And now it totally makes sense now.
Okay, Nicole, I'm glad you said that because that's what they found with the training, that people who did the training became more comfortable with it. Those who didn't do the training said, oh, this is another book that I have to go through. And it became a negative thing. So thank you. Thank you.
Yeah.
Anybody else? Anybody else? We have
Yeah,
Yeah, totally agree.
I am very much confident after learning about this course because I've been teaching Encounter from past 3 years, and I was not sure, and even my co-workers who's with me, even they were like, we don't know how to go with that. So I had no support, and I feel this course has really helped me to dig deeper into Encounter, and TPF is like it has opened a door for me, to know
Praise
more.
God.
Yes.
Praise God.
Praise
That's great. And mind you, and that's for everybody too. When you're done, I think I've said it before, and I'm going to keep saying it because I do it myself. When we are done with this class and I have submitted your grade, the grades go along with it because it is a college class. It's a graduate class that you're taking. And so that's why I really have to put the grades in. And I try to take my time and do it. And I read through everything that you guys do. But when that grade is in, you're going to get an invitation to join the Facebook page. Please join the Facebook page. And please put your questions in the Facebook page because the writers, the authors of the program actually respond in the group. Okay, go ahead, Thea.
I've been teaching Encounter from the beginning for years now, maybe probably almost 10 years.
Yeah.
But Kaizen learning, that section really got some clarity on that today. The using formative assessments to gauge how my students, and the fact that it's that we're celebrating what they learn in Kaizen learning, I really, really appreciate that. In training, I don't remember at all even getting to Kaizen learning when they were training us because it was so long. We only had 2 days. And we did this, I believe, at Atlantic Union at the time. So yeah, we didn't get through it, but it was excellent. And we did it with the Australian lady, the one in the videos. So now I have clarity. I really appreciate that, especially Kaizen learning. I think kids are gonna relate to it more. And I think that transformative learning aspect is what was missing for me. And I really appreciate it.
Oh, praise God. Thank you. So listen, guys, and I still have 2 more weeks of stuff to put in 1 week. And I am sorry that it's so stressful for you. I'm apologizing that it's so stressful as I'm trying to combine it in, but that's the only way that I can make sure that it makes sense to you. And don't feel bad. One of the things that makes me feel bad is when one of you will write me an email, and I'm saying this while the recording is still on. One of you will write an email and say, I'm sorry for bothering you. You're not bothering me. Trust me, you're not bothering me. That's my job. So if you have a question, let me know, okay? Now, I have 1 more class today, and after that class, if you guys need to come back on, you guys have my phone number, I think. Text me if you need to come back on for some more time with me. Like I can do more time with you guys. Maybe Friday if you need some one-on-one time, or I can do some more time with you on Sunday. I think I'm doing some VBS stuff on Sunday. But if you need some more time with me outside of this, before you finish your final project, let me know, and I can do some one-on-one stuff with you guys either on Friday or maybe Sunday evening or Monday. So just text me or send me an email, okay? All right. Okay, Michelle. Yes, Michelle.
Professor, just only have one concern. I've been trying to go to the discussion, but I can't. The discussion page.
Really? It's still locked?
Yes, I have the same problem, Professor.
I can tell you how to fix that.
I got into the discussion. You have to just click on the discussion itself instead of going through week 5 and the discussion. If you just click where it says EDCI 522 discussion 5 under the drop down of week 5, then you can get into the discussion page. But if you try to click discussion under the main link of week 5, then it doesn't work.
Yeah.
Thank you, Nicole. You're right. There's an update. They did updates during our class. And that was one of the updates that frustrated me because I can't get in from the course page. I actually have to go to the Southern Padlet to do it. Or you have to click on it twice. Because it'll say, you shall not pass, right?
I did the both, but it's still not working on my side.
Did it say?
Yeah, same for me.
Are you still getting the "you shall not pass"? Is that what you're still getting?
Yeah, it's still like refresh and then log in, and then I went to both options. So
Okay, oh, I don't know about that. Okay, well, I don't know about that one.
Professor,
On the session, there's like a
Professor?
little arrow that asks you to open it in another window. When you do that, it opens it up to allow you to enter the discussion.
You that again, Tamara. We had a little difficulty, and that might be helpful to some people.
I wasn't able to get in on Sunday or today.
But you have to click it, the update that they did, which I don't like, you have to click it twice. You have to click it and then they say, go to the page. You have to play around with it. I don't know why they did that update. It's a terrible update, but you have to click it twice to get in.
Mine says I
multiple times.
the Padlet or something.
Okay.
Someone just wrote in the chat, it gives you a chance to log in through Microsoft.
Okay. Okay. All right, guys. Give me a second. Let me see if I don't know what your screen looks like when you try to do it, but mine said you shall not pass. And then I had to go back and do it again.
Professor,
do you
for
understand what I'm
us, it
saying?
said that you're not authorized.
Say it again, Ruth.
Click on it, it said unauthorized. And then I called the online and they were trying to help me and it's still not successful.
Right, because it's a Padlet thing. Padlet did an update, and because when they did the update, they're making us log in twice. It's an unfortunate thing that they did. I don't know if anybody understands the wording that I'm saying. Anybody else got the wording when you had that problem?
Are you able to screen share for those that don't understand?
What I'm trying to do, I'm going to see if I can share it, because sometimes I have to go to one that I already did. In other words,
I just opened discussion 5 and it's open.
Okay. It is open. It's just for some people, when you do it the first time, yeah, it says you are not authorized to access this Padlet anymore. And then you have to click the refresh button. I was trying to get the wording right. So then when you click the refresh button, it won't stay up for me to take a picture of it. But you have to click the refresh button and then it allows you to do it again. Okay? So try that. All right?
There is a small, on the right side, there is a plus sign that you have to click and then you can open it's like a Word document. You can type in there and then on the side it's published and then it goes in the forum as well.
Right.
That is another option too.
Yeah. Okay, guys, I look forward to your emails. Michelle, is that a hand or that's a bye-bye?
Yeah, that's the previous one. I'm sorry.
Okay. All right, guys, I'm going to take my picture now. Remember, you have to wave so that I can see you later on when I go to record it. Okay, and then you have to say Bible class. Okay, bye, everybody.
Bible
Bible
class.
class.
Bible class.
Bye.
Bye, Bible class.